You know that moment when you realize your entire career just got flushed down the toilet? Mine happened on a Tuesday morning at 9:47 a.m. I was sitting in the conference room at Atlas Capital Management, staring at Charles Hartwell's cold eyes as he delivered the news with all the warmth of a debt collector. "Tom, we're making some efficiency adjustments. Your position is being eliminated. I'm Thomas Sullivan, 52 years old, and I'd just been told my 18 years of loyalty meant absolutely nothing. 18 years of building their compliance systems from scratch, of working weekends, of missing my kids' baseball games to keep their energy sector investments clean. All thrown away for efficiency." Let me back up a minute. Charles Hartwell wasn't just any CEO. This guy came from old Dallas money, the kind where your great-grandfather struck oil and your family name opens doors at the country club. He'd inherited Atlas from his father and spent 15 years turning it into what he called the most aggressive energy trading firm in Texas. What that really meant was pushing every regulatory boundary until the lawyers started sweating. Charles had this way of looking at people like me, the worker bees who actually kept his company running, like we were just overhead to be minimized. During company meetings, he'd talk about human capital optimization and generational workforce transitions. Translation: fire the expensive old guys and replace them with cheap kids fresh out of college. The thing is, I saw this coming from a mile away. Atlas had been hemorrhaging money on some spectacularly bad oil futures trades. Word was that Charles had bet big on crude hitting $120 a barrel, and when it tanked to $65, the company took a $180 million bath. The board was breathing down his neck, demanding cuts, and guys like me were the obvious targets. What really burned me up was sitting across from Andrew Hartwell, Charles's 28-year-old son, during that termination meeting. This kid had waltzed into a VP of Operations title straight out of his Harvard MBA program. I'd watched him for 6 months, and the guy couldn't read a basic risk assessment if his life depended on it. Just the week before, he'd approved a derivative strategy that violated 3 separate FINRA guidelines. When I tried to explain why it was problematic, he actually said, "Tom, maybe you're overthinking this. Sometimes you old school guys get too caught up in the details." Old school guys. This from someone who'd never worked a real day in his life. "We appreciate your contributions, Tom," Charles continued, shuffling through some papers like I wasn't even worth his full attention. "Patricia will handle the transition of your responsibilities. Patricia Williams." That stung worse than everything else combined. Pat had been my colleague for 12 years, someone I'd personally trained on every system we used. We'd worked side by side through the 2008 financial crisis, the Dodd-Frank implementation, countless regulatory updates. I'd recommended her for 2 promotions and covered for her when she was going through her divorce. She wouldn't even look at me during the meeting. I found out later she'd been feeding Charles information about my outdated methods for months, positioning herself as the modern, efficient alternative to my overly cautious approach. "Patricia's already up to speed on your current projects," Charles added. "She assures me the transition will be seamless." That's when I knew exactly how this had gone down. Pat had been angling for my job since the first round of layoffs 8 months earlier. She'd probably written the memo recommending my termination. They gave me 30 minutes to clean out my desk, 30 minutes to pack up nearly 2 decades of my professional life. Security watched me like I was some kind of corporate spy, making sure I didn't steal any precious company secrets. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent 18 years protecting their secrets, and now they were treating me like a threat. Here's what they didn't know about me, though. Before I got into finance, I spent 8 years in the Navy, mostly in intelligence operations. The military teaches you 3 things that serve you well in corporate America: patience, strategic thinking, and how to identify critical vulnerabilities in any system. And Atlas Capital had plenty of vulnerabilities. See, I wasn't just some compliance paper pusher. I'd built their entire risk management infrastructure from the ground up. Every monitoring system, every automated alert, every safeguard that kept them from running afoul of FINRA and SEC regulations, that was all my handiwork. I'd designed their audit trail protocols, their trade reporting systems, their client verification processes, everything. And because I'd built it all, I knew exactly where every weakness was buried. The week before my firing, I'd been working on updating our compliance monitoring systems for the new SEC guidelines on high-frequency energy trading. There was a gap in the audit trail protocols, something that would allow certain rapid-fire trading activities to slip through without proper regulatory oversight. Under normal circumstances, I would have fixed it immediately and filed the appropriate documentation. But these weren't normal circumstances. During my final week, while everyone thought I was just training Pat on basic procedures, I was actually doing something much more strategic. I was documenting every single flaw in the system, not creating new problems, just making sure the existing ones stayed exactly where they were. The compliance gap I discovered wasn't just a minor oversight, it was a regulatory time bomb waiting to explode. You see, Atlas specialized in aggressive energy sector investments, and Charles had built his reputation on pushing every boundary. The only thing that had kept them clean all these years was my systems catching problems before they became catastrophes. Now those systems were in Patricia's hands, and she had no idea what she'd inherited. My last day was almost comedic in its incompetence. Rachel Palmer, Charles's 26-year-old niece who'd been handed the Director of Compliance title despite having zero qualifications, actually thanked me for my legacy systems. This girl had graduated from SMU with a communications degree and somehow landed a $95,000 compliance job because she was family. She couldn't read a basic regulatory report if her life depended on it. I'll never forget our final meeting. Rachel sat there with her designer notebook asking me questions like, "So these compliance things, they're like automatically handled by the computer, right?" When I tried to explain that the systems required constant monitoring and adjustment, she just nodded and said, "Oh, that's so complicated. Maybe we can just simplify everything." That's when I knew exactly how this would end. During my final hours, I created what looked like detailed transition documentation, page after page of procedures, system explanations, and regulatory requirements. But what I was really documenting was every shortcut Charles had approved over the years, every corner Patricia had suggested cutting, every time Andrew had overruled safety protocols to chase bigger profits. All perfectly legal documentation of perfectly legal decisions that just happened to create a perfect storm of regulatory vulnerability. The beauty was in the details. I used their own system against them. The compliance database I'd built had automated reporting features that would trigger SEC filings based on specific trading patterns. These triggers were calibrated to catch exactly the kind of aggressive strategies Atlas specialized in. All I had to do was make sure those triggers stayed sensitive, while the people monitoring them had no clue what they were looking at. Here's the thing about compliance systems. They're like nuclear reactors. They work great when you have experienced operators who understand what all the gauges mean. But put amateurs at the controls, and even small mistakes can cascade into catastrophic failures. I spent my last afternoon walking Patricia through the basics of my job. She was so eager to prove herself that she kept interrupting me to suggest improvements. "Tom, this weekly risk assessment seems excessive. Couldn't we do it monthly instead?" "Well, Pat, the FINRA guidelines require—" I know, but Andrew thinks we're being overly cautious. We need to show we can adapt to modern trading speeds." Every suggestion she made revealed how little she understood about what kept Atlas from drowning in regulatory violations. She saw my careful protocols as bureaucratic obstacles rather than essential safeguards. It was like watching someone remove the safety barriers from a cliff and calling it streamlining the walking experience. The drive home that day was surreal. After 18 years, I was suddenly unemployed at 52 with 2 kids finishing college and a mortgage that wasn't going anywhere. My daughter Sarah was a junior at UT studying engineering, and my son Michael was a sophomore at Texas A&M in business school. Their tuition alone was running us $45,000 a year, not counting room and board. When I walked into our Highland Park house that evening, my wife Linda took one look at my face and knew. We'd been married 24 years, and she could read me like a book. "They fired you, didn't they?" "Eliminated my position for efficiency," I said, setting my cardboard box on the kitchen counter. 18 years, and they gave me 30 minutes to pack up. Linda's face went through about 5 different emotions in 10 seconds. Shock, anger, fear, determination, and finally that look she got when she was planning to fix something. "What about the pension, the 401k matching, your health insurance?" "Pension's frozen until I'm 62. 401k matching stopped the day they fired me. Health insurance runs out in 30 days. We spent that night at the kitchen table with a calculator and a stack of bills, trying to figure out how we'd survive until I found another job. The numbers weren't pretty. With both kids in college and our monthly expenses running about $8,000, we had maybe 4 months of savings to work with. "You'll find something," Linda said, but I could hear the worry in her voice. "Companies need people with your experience." That's what I'd thought too, until I started looking. The energy sector was brutal for anyone over 50. Every job posting wanted digital natives and fresh perspectives. Translation: they wanted kids they could pay $60,000 instead of adults who knew what they were worth. But here's where my Navy training kicked in. In intelligence operations, you learn that the best revenge isn't emotional, it's strategic. You identify your enemy's weaknesses, you exploit them systematically, and you make sure they never see you coming. Charles Hartwell had made a classic strategic error. He'd eliminated the one person who understood his vulnerabilities while simultaneously creating that person's strongest motivation for revenge. In military terms, he'd just armed his enemy and given him detailed intelligence about his own defenses. Over the next few weeks, I watched Atlas from a distance like a demolitions expert watching a building he'd wired for controlled demolition. The compliance system I'd built was still running, still generating reports, still monitoring trading patterns, but now it was being operated by people who didn't understand what they were looking at. Patricia was in over her head within days. She'd call me with quick questions about system alerts, not realizing that every alert she ignored was another step toward disaster. Rachel was even worse. She'd apparently decided that most of the monitoring reports were too technical and had started filing them without reading them. Andrew, meanwhile, was pushing for more aggressive trading strategies, convinced that my conservative approach had been holding the company back. He'd gotten Charles to approve a new high-frequency trading program that would generate massive profits, if it didn't trigger the regulatory tripwires I'd carefully left in place. It was like watching a slow-motion car crash, except I was the one who'd removed the brakes. 3 months after my departure, I got a call from Danny Rodriguez, one of the few senior guys who'd survived the purge. Danny had been with Atlas for 12 years, working in their energy derivatives division. He was laughing so hard he could barely get the words out. "Tom, you gotta see the news. Atlas just got absolutely destroyed by FINRA." I was sitting in my home office going through job applications on my laptop. I'd been unemployed for 90 days, and our savings were getting thin. Linda had started substitute teaching to bring in some extra money, and we'd already had to dip into the kids' college funds twice. "What happened?" I asked, though I had a pretty good idea. "They got hit with the biggest compliance penalty in Texas history. $925 million. The whole executive team is in full panic mode." I pulled up the Dallas Business Journal website, and there it was in bold headlines. Atlas Capital Management fined $925 million for systematic compliance failures. The article was everything I'd hoped for, and more. According to the report, FINRA investigators had discovered a pattern of inadequate oversight in Atlas's energy trading division. The violations included failure to maintain proper audit trails, inadequate supervision of high-frequency trading activities, and what regulators called willful blindness to risk management standards. The investigation had been triggered by automated reports from Atlas's own compliance system, the same system I'd built. My own creation had ratted them out, and the new compliance team had been too incompetent to understand what was happening until federal investigators were already knocking on their door. "Danny, how bad is it over there?" I asked. "Tom, it's a complete disaster. Charles is locked in his office with lawyers. Andrew's running around blaming everyone except himself. And Patricia? She's basically having a nervous breakdown. She keeps saying the system must be malfunctioning because she never saw any warning signs. That's because she wouldn't have recognized a warning sign if it bit her on the ass. The compliance system had been generating alerts for weeks, but Patricia had dismissed most of them as system glitches or false positives. She'd never bothered to investigate what was actually causing the alerts. The beauty of my strategy was in its simplicity. I hadn't sabotaged anything or created new problems. I'd simply left existing vulnerabilities in place while ensuring that the people responsible for monitoring them didn't understand what they were looking at. It was like removing all the smoke detectors from a building and then leaving a candle burning. Not illegal, just inevitably catastrophic. The best part, Danny continued, is that they're trying to blame it all on inherited system flaws and inadequate documentation from previous staff. But the SEC investigators aren't buying it. They found emails from Andrew pushing for faster trading implementation without compliance review. They found memos from Patricia suggesting that oversight protocols were unnecessarily cumbersome. I felt a surge of satisfaction that went all the way to my bones. Every shortcut they'd taken, every corner they'd cut, every time they'd overruled my warnings, it was all documented in their own communication systems. "What about Charles?" I asked. "He's finished. The board's meeting tonight to discuss his resignation. Word is he'll be gone by Friday." Sure enough, Charles Hartwell resigned 4 days later. The press release was a masterpiece of corporate doublespeak about pursuing new opportunities and allowing fresh leadership to guide the company forward. But everyone in Dallas business circles knew the truth. He'd been forced out to save face for the company. Andrew lost his VP position within a week. The board couldn't fire him outright because he was family, but they quietly shuffled him off to some meaningless consulting role where he couldn't do any more damage. Last I heard, he was working for a small investment firm in Austin, making about half his previous salary. Rachel Palmer was terminated for inadequate oversight, though we all knew she'd never understood her job in the first place. She ended up taking a marketing position at her uncle's car dealership, which was probably more suited to her actual skill level. But Patricia Williams got the worst of it. She'd been promoted to my old position just in time to take the blame for the entire mess. The company painted her as the architect of the failed compliance program, conveniently forgetting that she'd inherited my systems and simply didn't know how to maintain them. "They're making her the fall guy," Danny told me during another call. "Charles is claiming that all the compliance failures happened after you left, under her watch. She's been meeting with lawyers all week." Patricia resigned 6 months later and hasn't worked in finance since. I heard through the grapevine that she's selling real estate now, trying to rebuild her career from scratch at 48 years old. I might have felt sorry for her if she hadn't spent months undermining me to get my job. Meanwhile, the financial damage to Atlas was mounting. The $925 million penalty was just the beginning. They lost their license to trade in several energy markets, their insurance premiums skyrocketed, and 3 major clients pulled their investments within a month. The company's stock price dropped 60% in 2 weeks. The local business press was calling it the biggest corporate meltdown in Dallas history. Charles Hartwell's 30-year empire was crumbling, and everyone knew it was his own arrogance and short-sightedness that had caused it. But the best news was still coming. 2 weeks after the Atlas story broke, I got a call that would change everything. "Mr. Sullivan? This is Gerard Thompson from Pinnacle Energy Partners. I'd like to discuss a position with our company." Gerard Thompson turned out to be everything Charles Hartwell wasn't. He'd built Pinnacle Energy Partners on the principle that sustainable profits came from solid risk management, not from cutting corners and hoping nobody noticed. During my interview at their offices in downtown Dallas, he told me something I'll never forget. "Tom, we don't hire people despite their experience. We hire them because of it. What happened at Atlas proves that compliance isn't overhead to be minimized. It's the foundation that everything else is built on." Pinnacle offered me the position of Chief Risk Officer with a 40% salary increase and a signing bonus that covered our immediate financial pressures. More importantly, they valued what I brought to the table. My first day, Gerard introduced me to the team by saying, "This is Tom Sullivan. He built the compliance systems that kept Atlas clean for 18 years. We're lucky to have him." It felt good to be respected again. The timing couldn't have been better. Sarah was starting her senior year at UT, and Michael needed money for a summer internship program. Linda had been worried sick about our finances, but the new salary meant we could stop dipping into savings and actually start rebuilding our retirement fund. "I'm proud of you," Linda told me on my first day at Pinnacle. "You could have been bitter about what happened, but you turned it into something better." If only she knew the whole story. The final chapter of the Atlas saga came about a year later. Gerard and I were having lunch at the Dallas Petroleum Club when he mentioned that Atlas Capital Management had filed for bankruptcy. "It's really tragic," he said, cutting into his steak. "Charles Hartwell built that company over 30 years, and it all collapsed in less than 18 months. I nodded sympathetically while internally celebrating. The $925 million penalty, combined with the loss of clients and trading privileges, had been too much for Atlas to overcome. Charles's aggressive growth strategy had left them leveraged to the hilt, and when the regulatory hammer came down, they simply couldn't absorb the financial impact. "I heard Hartwell's having to sell his Highland Park mansion," Gerard continued. "Apparently his legal fees alone are running over $2 million. That evening, I drove past the old Atlas building downtown. It was empty now, with a for-lease sign that had been there for 8 months. The parking garage where I used to park every morning was almost empty. just a few security vehicles and maintenance trucks. I didn't feel sorry for Charles Hartwell or his fallen empire. I felt vindicated. The best part came 6 months later when Danny Rodriguez called with the final piece of the puzzle. "Tom, you're not going to believe this. Charles is trying to start a new investment firm, but he can't get licensed. FINRA rejected his application based on the Atlas violations. He's basically blacklisted from the industry." Charles Hartwell, who'd once commanded a 200-person company and managed billions in assets, was reduced to working as a consultant for small firms that were desperate enough to overlook his reputation. His son Andrew had moved to California, reportedly working for a tech startup at a fraction of his former salary. The Hartwell family dynasty was finished. Meanwhile, I was thriving at Pinnacle. My first year, we successfully navigated 3 major regulatory audits without a single violation. The SEC investigators who reviewed our systems actually commended our exceptional compliance infrastructure. Gerard promoted me to senior vice president and gave me a corner office with a view of downtown Dallas. "You know what the difference is between us and Atlas?" Gerard asked during my annual review. "We understand that experience is an asset, not a liability. Companies that forget that lesson tend to learn it the hard way. My kids both graduated college debt-free thanks to my new salary and the signing bonus I'd invested wisely. Sarah landed a job with ExxonMobil as a petroleum engineer, and Michael got hired by a prestigious investment firm in Houston. Linda and I finally took that trip to Europe we'd been planning for 20 years, spending 2 weeks touring Italy and France. These days, when people ask me about what happened at Atlas, I tell them it was a perfect example of what happens when companies prioritize efficiency over expertise. Charles Hartwell thought he could eliminate experience and replace it with enthusiasm, but he learned that some knowledge can't be downloaded from the internet or taught in business school. The compliance systems I'd built worked exactly as designed. They monitored, they reported, they flagged violations just like they were supposed to. The company failed not because my systems were flawed, but because the people who replaced me didn't understand what they were inheriting. Charles Hartwell made the classic mistake of confusing cost with value. He saw my salary as an expense to be eliminated rather than an investment in the company's future. He trusted his son's MBA over my decades of experience. He trusted his niece's family connection over proven competence. He trusted Patricia's ambition over my loyalty. Every single one of those decisions came back to destroy him. Sometimes I drive past Charles's old Highland Park mansion, now owned by a tech entrepreneur who bought it at auction. The new owner has completely renovated it, erasing any trace of the Hartwell family legacy. It's a fitting metaphor for what happened to Charles's business empire. They fired me for efficiency. It turned out to be the most expensive efficiency measure in Texas business history. I sleep very well at night knowing that experience, when properly applied, always wins in the end. Charles Hartwell learned that lesson $925 million too late.